12.4, talking about area of parallelograms. Okay. Okay, that would be a parallelogram. Basically, a parallelogram is a four-sided figure. Okay, we've already sort of talked about this. Four-sided figure with opposite sides parallel. Okay, so this side is parallel, and these two sides are parallel. Obviously, one's right across from each other. To figure area, we're going to talk about area and perimeter. Okay, to figure area of a parallelogram, area is equal to base times height. Okay, now I've got to draw, let's see if I can draw a little better one here. This program doesn't really, there we go, that's better. Okay, because I want to show you what the height is. Okay, the height is the perpendicular distance between the base, the two bases. Okay, so this would be the height, not this in here. That's not the height. Okay, so you can't treat it like a rectangle, where on a rectangle we just do length times width, because a rectangle has 90-degree angles. Therefore, we can do length times width. A parallelogram is not going to necessarily have 90-degree angles. Okay, if it does have a 90-degree angle, in other words, if it was a rectangle like that, then that one's easy. Okay, this would be your base, and this would be your height. Okay, but on a parallelogram, it does matter which one you consider the base and which one you consider the height. Okay, the height will always be shown like it is here, either inside the parallelogram or outside. In other words, they could show the height over here as well and do this. Okay, so this is the base, and this is the height. So know the difference, and most of the ones you're going to be looking at are not going to be hard to tell which is the height and which is the base. Okay, but the height is the perpendicular distance. Okay, let me write it down for you. The height is the perpendicular distance between the two bases. Okay, height is equal to the perpendicular distance between the two bases. Okay, so why I drew the other figure is because it's a little harder to tell here, because, you know, quite honestly, it's almost a rectangle. Okay, but most of your parallelograms are going to look more like that than like the big one I drew. Okay, so then if I have a parallelogram that has, let me go and erase that. Draw another one there. Y'all don't have to erase it, just leave it there, but see if I can't draw another one there that we can actually use. Let's see here. Okay, and let's say that this is 4 yards, and here is the perpendicular distance here, Okay, usually it'll be like that. And they say this is 4 yards. Okay, so to figure the area of this, it would be base times height, which means I have area is equal to 4 times 4, which area then would be equal to 16 yards squared. Okay, you must have the label. If you don't have the correct label, and it's got to have the square on it. The reason it has the square is because you're taking 2 dimensions and multiplying them together. That's why it's squared. Okay. Yes, Nicole?
So then why do we have that little 90-degree angle if we don't need to? Like, I thought we were
Well, because in this actual figure, this side here is probably more like 5 or 6 yards. Okay, so they're not going to just give you the side. They'll give you the side, but we'll talk about that here in a second. But they want you to understand that you don't use this. You use the height. And the only way you can tell the height is if you have a 90-degree angle showing that it is the perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance means that it has to be 90 degrees. It's where 2 things intersect, forming a 90-degree angle. So, what? Yes, yeah, they're going to give you what the heights are and all that. They will give you that. You don't have to. There's no way to. If they don't give you that, then there's no way to do the problem. See if I've got here. See, I don't think I do, but maybe I do. There. Yeah. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to add something to this. Okay, it'll show up here. Okay, so these are examples. These are actually the problems, coming out of your book. You can see here that this represents the height. Okay? That right there represents the height. You will see also that the sides are actually 7 millimeters, but you don't use that for area. Okay? So how we would figure area of this is we would take area is equal to the 9 millimeters times 5 millimeters. Okay? And that would be, area would be equal to 45 millimeters squared. Okay, now, the other thing that they're going to want you to find is the perimeter of each figure. Okay, so to find the perimeter of this figure, to find number 7, the perimeter, that's going to be equal to the sum of all the sides. This is where it becomes different. The sum of all the sides would be 9 plus 7 plus 9 plus 7. When you're figuring perimeter, perimeter is the distance around the object. Not area is what covers the object. In other words, this is area, what it takes to cover this whole object. Okay, that's what area is. Perimeter is what it takes to go around the object. So if I'm trying to figure out how far it is around the object, then I've got to use the 7, the 9, and the 9, and the 7. Okay? And so you add those up, and you get what? Nope. 32. So perimeter here is equal to 32 millimeters. And that's your answer for perimeter. So there's two answers to this number 7. The 45 millimeters squared, because that's area, and I'm multiplying, not adding, and then the 32 millimeters. Huh? No, because you're not multiplying anything. You're adding. You only put a square on it when you're multiplying it, not adding it. Okay? So I want you to try this one. Try number 8 on your own. Find the perimeter and the area of number 8. Now remember the height is the perpendicular distance between the two bases. So make sure you use the correct number for your area. Okay, who has the answer? Nicole, what'd you get for area? 130 centimeters. Yes, 130 centimeters squared. So area is equal to 130 centimeters squared. Okay, what about perimeter? What do we get for perimeter? Matthew? Yes, 50.6 centimeters. Okay, so once again, for the perimeter, that, you would just take the 12.3 plus 13 plus 12.3 plus 13. That would be your perimeter. For the area, you would take 10 times 13. Okay, the reason we use 13 is because this is our height. So whatever the height is attached to, that's the side we have to use. That's the number we have to use for the base. Okay, so this has to be the base. This has to be the height. Okay. All right, now, let's look down here at number 10. Number 10 is a little different, but not really. It just asks you to do a different thing. It says, find the unknown base or height of the parallelogram. Okay, so we have area equal to 48 centimeters squared. Base is equal to 12 centimeters. And height is equal to, we don't know. So if we fill in our formula, area is equal to base times height. Well, that gives us 48 centimeters squared equals the base of 12 centimeters and the height. We don't know. So basically, that's just an equation that looks like this. Okay. This one's easy because you can readily see it, but the way we would solve it is to divide 12 by both sides it cancels there. 48 divided by 12 is equal to 4. So the height is 4, but it is 4 centimeters. Okay? So basically all you have to do, now obviously all of them aren't going to be that easy, okay, but basically all you have to do is just divide whatever they've given you, height or base, divide it into the area, and that will give you the dimension that is missing. Okay? Let's look at another one here. Number 13 says area is equal to 15 inches squared. B is equal to 5/6 inches. And height we don't know. So that's 15 inches squared equals 5/6 inches times h. Okay, how do we solve that? We go back to our special rule that when we have a fraction in front of a variable, to solve, you multiply by the reciprocal of the variable to both sides. Okay, so basically we have this equation to solve that. Then we simply take and go 6/5 times to both sides. Okay, on this side it cancels. On this side, 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 15 3 times. So that would be 6 times 3. That would be 6 times 3 over 1 times 1 equal to h. So that means h is equal to 18 inches. Remember, when you have mixed numbers and you're multiplying it together, you must change them to improper fractions before you can multiply. Okay? For example, if I had 3 4/5 times 2 5/6. Okay, you would have to change that to 19/5, 19/5, not 15, times 17/6. Okay, then you would cross cancel if possible. If it's not possible, then you just multiply straight across and reduce it. Do what? Yes, once you're done, you would reduce it and change it back to a mixed number. Okay. Your homework for this section, and this is not due till Monday, okay, because I want you to be able to study for your test tonight. 11.4, and it's 1 through 13. Okay, now that is due Monday. Okay, it's due Monday. I think that's the 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, yeah. Okay, now your test tomorrow, test number 1 is tomorrow. And it will be over 11.1 through 11.3. Now, what we're going